What harsh truths do you prefer to ignore?
Reality. That's a big one.
Is free will real or just an illusion?
I'm not sure, but it's probably better to think that we have free will.
Is there a meaning to life? If so, what is it?
I think it's to get to know yourself.
What does it mean to live a good life?
To be grateful for what you have and not to be too obsessive about what you don't.
Why do we dream?
I think we dream to sort things out and to discard unnecessary things that build up in the mind.
Where does your self-worth come from?
I definitely think most people take their self-worth from people that they admire, but I don't think that's its true origin. I think you have to define what makes you happy. You have to create your ideal self and then base your standards and your self-worth off of that. I don't think it should ever come from another person, at least not in totality.
Does the study of philosophy ever lead to answers, or simply more questions?
I think it leads to more answers. I think that there's so much literature, and you're bound to find something that clarifies life for you a little bit when you do your research. I think it's very helpful.
What is the best way for a person to attain happiness?
I think the answer to that just resembles the question from earlier. It's just to find yourself.
How would humanity change if all humans' life expectancy was significantly increased, let's say to around 500 years?
The only thing that would change would be the expectancy, the life expectancy. I just think that people would take longer to do whatever it is they wanted to do.
Where do you find meaning in your life?
Beauty, art, discovery, creation.
Will religion ever become obsolete?
Absolutely not. People think that they can get rid of religion. It's another one just fills its space.
Is suffering a necessary part of the human condition?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we would be grateful for anything if we didn't suffer. Or I don't think we would find a value in anything if it wasn't difficult to achieve necessarily. Or if we didn't, in comparison, see how good things can be.
What benefits does art provide society? Does art hurt society in any way?
I would definitely say that art provides a much more beneficial contribution. I think that it provides very intense cerebral and emotional aspect. It's one of the fewest forms of pure expression, pure manifestation, especially if it's done right. But I definitely think it can hurt people, and I think that relativism in art can cause people to be very amoral and cynical.
If freedom is simply being able to do what you want, are animals freer than humans?
I don't think animals do what they want at all. I think animals do what they have to. So yeah, I'd say human beings are freer than animals. I'd say though that human beings definitely have the burden of decision though, which is a lot.
What are you going to do with the one life you have?
I don't think that this is my only life. Doesn't mean I'm gonna be an asshole, but my goal with this one, at least, is to live out my fantasies for as long as I can, with as little interruption from reality as possible.
Is it more important to help yourself, help your family, help your society, or help the world?
Help yourself first. Figure your shit out first. Everything else will follow.
Why don't we, as a species, take more advantage of the fact that we have almost infinite knowledge available to us?
Because we're lazy, we're scared, or we just simply, some people are just content with very little, and that's fine.
Some people believe that if life has no purpose, then there is no reason for living, while others think that if life has no purpose, that frees a person to find, create, and follow their own personal purpose. Which is a more valid point of view, or are they both equally valid?
Well, I certainly don't empathize with the person that thinks that life has no meaning and why even bother. If they want to look at it in a positive way, life has no meaning, that gives you all the freedom in the world, I think that's great. I don't see it that way. I think life is imbued naturally with meaning. And I think it's just a more fruitful life if you look at it that way. But valid, I don't like having that much authority to tell somebody that their way of thinking, the way they want to live their life is valid. That's just what I like. This is what I think.
Does absolute power corrupt absolutely?
No. But it definitely does enough damage.
Why do we judge ourselves by our intentions but judge others by their actions?
Because everyone wants to think they're of a higher moral caliber than their neighbor.
What activities cause you to feel like you are living life to the fullest?
Creation. Actually living your life. Good sex, good food, good conversation.
Does knowledge have intrinsic value, or does it need to have a practical use to have value?
I think knowledge has intrinsic value. I just think that we feel better mentally. I think we're just healthier as a species if it has practical use.
What is the biggest waste of human potential?
Any distraction from the self.
Does jealousy have value in driving humans to improve themselves, or is it a purely negative emotion?
I would agree with Nietzsche and say that jealousy or envy is useful. I think it has more potential for use than it does for self-destruction, but most of the time I think it just kind of lands in the middle and it's pretty harmless. I don't think it really does much.
What percentage of your life do you feel truly alive? When do you feel that way? How can you feel that way more often?
My goal is to get that up to like 90%. I could never say 100, but at this point, because I'm kind of living a dual life with my job and free time, which is 50%, I'd say is awesome. But I try to get it even higher than that, probably like 60, 70, would be awesome. But by the things I mentioned earlier, creation, intimacy with people, good conversation, discovery is a big one. Learning new things, applying them. That's when I feel most alive. Or new experiences too. Sensualism.
Know thyself is an ancient concept going back much further than Socrates and is at the root of much of philosophy. With that in mind, what are the most important things to learn about oneself, or is all self-knowledge equal?
You need to know what gives you joy. Real joy. Not joy that's derived from pleasing other people or lifting a weight off. And usually that's by following passions and your interests and things that intrigue you and like curiosity. And know what your faults are and how to avoid them and how to remove them from being a habit in your life.